I grew up in a traditional Indian house. My parents really, really, really wanted me to be a doctor. And they wanted me to be a doctor because when you're a doctor, you're very prestigious because you have that doctor in front of your name. Everybody's going to want to marry you as a doctor. That's their traditional Indian mindset thinking. And you also make a lot of money. So they assume that you're financially secure and probably going to be very healthy because you're a doctor. Well, I started to realize in high school and college that that's not completely true. And I was always interested in becoming financially successful because I saw how hard my parents are working and I wanted to give back to them. And so originally I thought that medicine, becoming a doctor, was the way to do that. But then I started realizing that if you look at some of the most successful people in the world, you look at Warren Buffett, you look at Steve Jobs, you look at Bill Gates, they didn't get there by getting a good degree and working a job, whether it's a high paying job or not. They created something. They had equity in things. And then I started learning more. Well, what does that mean? You can create something, you can start a business, or you can invest in things. What does Warren Buffett do? He doesn't go out and create companies, he invests in companies. And so it's like, okay, if my goal is to build financial wealth, how can I kind of reverse engineer this?
Jaspreet Singh is the host and founder of The Minority Mindset. This is a personal financial education channel on YouTube with just under 2 million subscribers. He's a serial entrepreneur, a licensed attorney, and he's also on a mission to spread financial education.
I started reading financial books. I was probably 17. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. It was the first book I ever read cover to cover. English is my second language, and I hated reading. My dad, for some reason, gave me this book. My dad discouraged me to do anything unless it was biology and science. Somebody gave him this book. He gave it to me. I don't know how I got it. This is like literally just by chance I got this book. I read it and I learned about this thing called investing. And I hear about this passive income and I learned about real estate investing. And I had never heard of these concepts before. Like I did not know what a dividend was. I didn't even know that you could invest in real estate. I had no idea. I learned by doing. I do it. I screw up and then I invest in myself through books, through classes, whatever it might be. No matter how much education you purchase, you can't bypass the experience and you have to go out and get your feet wet at some point. And you got to be willing to lose and screw up. It's a part of the process.
Because you mentioned the word fail a couple of times. I think that when you fail, that's the best teacher. And as long as you're learning from those failures, it's almost like paying for an education in a way.
Yeah, it's my real life tuition.
That's right.
And it is expensive sometimes.
If you were investing in 2024, knowing what you know with all your experience, if you started with $0, you want to start investing now and you were given $10,000, how would you invest from scratch?
If I'm talking particularly for me and I have nothing else, just $10,000, the first thing I would want to invest in is an income. Because I got to have some money to invest. Because the thing is, I could take that $10,000 and put it into the stock market. Maybe it'll grow. We know the stock market grows on average 10% a year. Some years more, some years less. That means it's going to take a long time before I can turn that $10,000 into $20,000. And if this is my source of survival, I'm not going to survive very long. Now, I'm an entrepreneur. That's kind of just the way that my mind works. So if I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to be investing in is how can I make another $10,000 or another $50,000 or another $100,000 and figuring out now how I can invest, whether it's in building a product, in marketing a product, in learning how to build and market a product, and figuring out how I can secure an income. That way I have more money to invest because the passive investments, the stocks, the real estate, those are, I made the money and now I put the money aside. I throw the money away so it can make me more money. The active into building my business is how can I actually grow how much money I have to invest?
You check the entrepreneurial box, you check the income box. What made you actually start investing?
When I was 19, between my sophomore and junior year in college, I had now read a few books on real estate investing. It sounded so cool and interesting. I was like, I'm going to become a real estate investor. Now, to put this in perspective, this is like back 2011 time. So real estate prices were very low. The real estate market is still going down at this point. And I'm in Metro Detroit where real estate prices were hit especially hard. I have a little bit of cash in the bank. I'm studying to take the MCAT, which is a test you take to get into medical school. I'm so bored. I'm like losing my mind trying to study and read because I'm in the library 12 hours a day. I spend my breaks going to Yahoo Finance. Every article talks about how real estate prices are crashing. And I was like, well, I'm going to start looking for real estate. And I took my MCAT on August 22nd. On August 23rd, I closed on my first rental property. It was a 1,000 square foot condo. It had sold previously for $150,000. The owners foreclosed when the 2008 crash happened. The banks couldn't sell it. They kept cutting the price, and they listed it for sale for $8,400.
Wow.
And that was when I came in and I made an offer for $4,000 because I don't know what's normal. To me, I'm 19 years old. I have no experience in real estate. To me, I thought this was normal. It sounds crazy, but imagine I've never seen anything else before. This is my first exposure. They said, no, give us $7,000. The bank said. We went back and forth, and then the bank said, we have another offer on the table. Give us your highest and best offer. So I said, all right, here's $8,000. That's the most I'm willing to pay for this condo. 1,000 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bath in a good area. And they accepted it. I put in, I think, maybe $4,000 worth of work to renovate it and appliances. And then I rented it out for $600 a month. And that was my first exposure to investing, real investing. And I realize now, whoa, if I could stack these properties, if I can stack these investments, I can stack the cash flow. And now I have a whole new stream of passive cash flow. And I can do this without being a doctor. And I could not believe that nobody told me this. Like, I was good in school. I bust my butt trying to learn how to become successful, but no one told me a thing about money management or investing. And it really frustrated me. But then I started digging more. I started hammering books and getting involved. Right after that, I became a licensed realtor. I was 20 years old. I got my real estate salesperson's license because I realized if I need to buy more properties, I need more money. So I got my real estate salesperson's license. I bought more properties and I started doing it. And it sounds like sunshine and rainbows, right? This is like, oh my God, $8,000, you're making $600 a month. Yeah, that's the sunshine and rainbows part, the beautiful part. But the part that is kind of overlooked is I had no idea what I was doing and I made every single mistake. I mean, I'm not very smart. Most people learn after screwing up one time. It takes me 3 screw-ups to learn.
Well, again, experience seems to be the best teacher. So I'm sure you're running, a successful portfolio at this point, which brings me to my next question. What is the best investment you've ever made?
The early real estate properties that I was buying for properties under $30,000, those were great deals because now those properties are worth many multiples more and the rental values have gone up significantly. But what's made even more impact, purpose, and money was investing into my own business. So, most people know me because I run the Minority Mindset show on YouTube, but I call that my hobby. My full-time job is I am the CEO of a company called Briefs Media, which is a financial news and education company. And like you and I were talking about, we have a free newsletter called Market Briefs, where we publish what's happening in the financial news every day, Monday through Friday and Sunday. And this was an investment because that meant we didn't go out and raise venture capital. We didn't go out and raise money from investors. What I did was I was making money. And now instead of going out and buying another rental property or buying stocks, I took that money and we hired people. But it also took a lot of time. Like, it's my full-time job. I spend a lot of time in that business. So, it's a different type of investment where it's a more of an active investment. But that has seen the biggest returns.
I love that you brought up so far in this conversation a couple of things, investing in yourself, whether it's through a mentor or some sort of education. And then also you invested in your own business, which in my opinion, you can have incredible ROI if you figure out that product market fit. So let's unpack that just a little bit more.
I like to be just very transparent with this, where we've seen a lot of growth, which is the sunshine and rainbows. But it took a lot of getting punched in the face in order to get there because I didn't really know how to do it. First, we invested into building a blog at Minority Mindset. And you know what? We're going to shut down NerdWallet. We're going to be a NerdWallet competitor. We're going to have these amazing blog posts, whatever. Well, 2 years and $500,000 later, we shut down that blog. And we realized, I didn't really know what I was doing when I was playing that game. And I also wasn't spending much time into it. And I also didn't really care. It was just something that, I have the money. I'm going to take this money and put it into this thing. And I'm going to let other people hopefully run it and manage it the way I would. Well, turns out it doesn't work like that, right? We talk about getting punched in the face and you start to learn. And so then I start to realize, okay, where can I actually provide real value? Well, I think there's a disconnect in the financial news market because I consume a lot of financial news. I mean, this is something I enjoy doing. I'm an investor, but I enjoy doing it. But I also know that it took me a long time to understand what the heck CNBC is talking about, right? When they come out and they say the 10-year yield is falling, what does that mean to the average person? That most people don't know what that means. So first, how can we make the financial news simpler to understand? Number two, how can we make it digestible? Because I think the stat is there's like 92 or 93,000 news articles published every day. How can anybody keep up with that? And I'm sure it's even more now. You have AI, you have so much publications. How to keep up with that? And then it is so emotional. Turn on any news agency and it's the world is ending or this stock is going to the moon. There's really no in between. And the reason why is because that's what drives money. I mean, just look at YouTube. I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of what it is. If you don't give that excitement and that emotion, people don't click and they go into the YouTube graveyard. And so to me, that was I wanted to break away from that. And so with market briefs, it's like, okay, how can we now do that value, something that I care about, something that I would consume, but also fix these things. And so now because it's one newsletter, you don't have to have the emotion. Like people, it doesn't matter what the subject line is. We know people are going to open it because they love the newsletter. So we don't need to put any of that emotion in there. We just tell you what it is.
Yeah, I get it. I myself am a YouTuber. A lot of the sensational stuff, it drives clicks, typical media. If it bleeds, it leads, right? You have to do the most sensational stuff on the front page. But no, I love what you're doing because I think the finance space needs that. So if you had to leave our audience with any advice, whether it's, it could be financial, it could be life advice, it could be books, it could be anything. What would you leave them with?
Believe in yourself. You have the world at your fingertips. And sometimes, or many times, our biggest roadblock is ourselves. We hold ourselves back. But there's a lot of opportunity in the world. There's a lot of money in the world. And you can be successful, happy, and fulfilled. But it starts with you really taking that first step, believing in yourself, and trying things. And I know it's scary. It's hard. When you try something new, it can be lonely. And it can be very difficult, especially when everything is going wrong. I have been there. But stick with that. Even when nobody's believing in you, just keep going.
Jaspreet, where can people learn more about you and your company?
I have a YouTube channel and podcast, Minority Mindset. You can watch that on YouTube or podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Or if you want to check out the free newsletter we have at Briefs Media, it's called Market Briefs. We publish a newsletter 6 times a week, Monday through Friday and Sunday. It's completely free. You can go to briefs.co or just Google Market Briefs.